Okay, let's see. Share the screen.
I don't see it.
Hauntings, cryptids, the unknown. Welcome to Mystic Moon Cafe Radio.
You kind of just showed the white screen with your little clips on there.
Oh, you're kidding.
Just to let you know. That's okay. That's all right.
Whoops.
It sounded really good, though, you know.
All right. Well,
Oh, no.
you want me to share it again, or are we all good? Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I just wanted to let you know, just in case.
Okay. All righty.
But welcome everyone to Mystic Moon Cafe. My name is June, and we have the amazing, adorable Wendy. Hello.
Somewhat
everyone.
tech challenged, but hey,
that's
I tried,
okay. That's
right?
all right. You're much better than me, I tell you. And we're missing Jake tonight. He is still in the process of moving, and he's being all manly and putting up fencing. So it's kind of awesome. So his doggies can run free.
Wee.
Yes, everything. And Wendy, I just wanted to say I'm really sorry about your puppers that passed on.
Well, thank you. Poor old guy. I kind of knew it was coming, and it's really it's just weird. I'm still looking for him to, be sure I step over him and not on him. And
I almost caught myself asking about, I don't hear him snoring. And I was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, not tonight. Now that doesn't mean that Augie won't be down to say hello at least, at least once.
At least, yes. But anyway, it's beautiful here in Seattle today. It's actually kind of cool. I'm thinking I should have put a sweater on, so it's pretty amazing. I love it when that happens. Summer times in Seattle we try to keep it a secret. So people don't know how amazing the summers are here. Because you don't want more people to move out here. It's crowded enough. But it is really amazing summers out here. Usually hardly ever gets above 80. And in the wintertime, it hardly ever gets below 40. So it's pretty awesome weather out here. So I love it out here.
Oh, cool.
So nice. Just have to say. But how has your week been, Wendy?
It was just a weekend. Just did stuff here around the house. Try to get myself together and move forward.
Yeah, I can understand that. So us too. Looks like we are going to be moving to another location. We kind of got word that the landlord here is gifting the house to his daughter for their kind of a wedding present. So we are going to have to find a new place to live. So that's our big thing. So lots of changes and moving and all sorts of adventures coming up. So, all that stuff.
Adventures. That's the best way to look at it. Life's an adventure.
That's right. It sure is. Sometimes a little much more of an adventure than, you want sometimes. But
hey, it happens.
Exactly. But we have an amazing guest with us tonight.
Indeed,
and
we do.
let me read a bio here.
Okie dokie.
Make sure I get everything. And like I said, forgive me for not mispronouncing some things if I do. I know some people are like, oh my God, June. but let's just get it out in the open
It
right
just
now.
means we can read, right?
Yes. Well,
Hooked on phonics, we sound it out.
Yes, I know. Be really sad. And it's kind of in smallish print, so just just saying, not that my eyes are old and I need glasses or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm still in denial, Wendy. I'm still in denial.
Oh, all right, all right.
No. Okay. 21 Divisions, Mystery and Magic of Dominican Voodoo with Papa Hector. Hollywood has done a great job of making a good portion of the populace afraid of hoodoo, voodoo, Santeria, Southern Conjure, etc. Well, in the episode of Mystic Moon Cafe, we will be tackling while maintaining a healthy respect for some of the myth. Sorry, it's my eyes. See me straining by talking with Papa Hector Salva about Dominican Voodoo and his book, The 21 Divisions, Mysteries and Magic of Dominican Voodoo. So Hector Salva, Papa Hector, was born and raised in a family of brujos, witch doctors, healers, and sorcerers that practiced 21 divisions, Sanse and Puerto Rican Espiritismo. Papa Hector is the author of HectorSalva.com, the internet's largest source of information of Haitian, Dominican, and Puerto Rican voodoo traditions. He is also the author of, is it Las 21 Divisiones?
Yeah, you're doing awesome.
Thank you.
Sanse, you speak Spanish.
No, I don't. Sanse Religio. Sanse. Now you've just totally messed me up. No, I'm just kidding. SanseReligion.com and over half a dozen other spiritual websites. In addition to the author's strong online presence, he teaches workshops domestically and internationally. So welcome, Papa Hector. We are really, really happy to have you on our show tonight.
Thank you guys for having me here with you. I'm really excited, Wendy and June, to be here with you and discuss both, the 21 divisions and whatever comes up, right? Because life is life.
Yes.
That and the beauty of all of our spiritual traditions.
Exactly, yes. Yep, just we go down a lot of rabbit holes around here.
Yes, we do. We'll start off on a topic and then all of a sudden, we'll be talking fashion and makeup. No, I'm just kidding. We don't talk fashion and makeup. we hardly ever talk about fashion and makeup. I don't know where that came from.
Why not?
You never know, right?
Exactly, yes. Well, shall we start at the beginning? When did your training start? Well, did you grow up with the voodoo and sorcerers and
brujos?
Mm-hmm. So I grew up in a family that practiced 21 divisions, which is a Dominican form of voodoo. And just as someone would grow up with a family practicing like Christianity or Catholicism, you just grow up with it. And they practice 21 divisions, Sanse and Espiritismo, because of one side of my family practiced the 21 divisions and the other side were Sansita, Espiritista. So, and our family has always been really religious. We have like evangelicals, Christians, we got all kinds of like, stuff. Religion is everything, kind of in my family. So I ended up growing up with basically people that served in the 21 divisions and Sanse Espiritismo. And just like you would grow up with, any other religion.
Catholic here, but yeah, that's how I grew up anyway.
Exactly.
I grew up Methodist, watered down Catholic, really watered down Catholic as Methodist.
So no, for me, I grew up with my grandmother, my grandfather, and my aunts. Their sister, one of their sister, right? And my great aunts who were all really brujas and actually did the work for people. And a lot of other parts of my family practice as well, but those are the main people that I studied under and who became my own godparents and who I ended up with, of course. And that's basically this, you know, same thing as you would go being growing up in any religion, any type of spirituality, right? And we had that, but we also had, because it's the 21 divisions, and the 21 divisions is a spiritual tradition that combines like shamanism, Catholicism, native practices, magic, some European magic, a little bit of Spanish magic that came from Europe, as well as a very strong base of tribal practices and religions that came from tribes in Africa, and basically all the many people that came together and has those influences.
Now, can
Nice.
you tell us, I was going to say this is kind of a really general question, but and you can answer it however you'd like to answer, but some of the major differences between voodoo and hoodoo, and this is like for a lot of people out here who actually only learn about, you know, voodoo and hoodoo and things like this from movies. Can you tell us something, you know, that's kind of the basic differences between all these different practices and religions?
Yeah, so first I want to say this as like a disclaimer before I say a certain thing, is that I'm not a hoodoo practitioner, although I have been around many hoodoo practitioners. I have many hoodoo practitioners that are godchildren, great people, etc. So I can only speak on that but so much.
Right.
But what I will say as far as voodoo and the 21 divisions, as well as like Haitian voodoo, which is what people, you know, associate with movies and myths and things of that nature, which I also am an initiate in Haitian voodoo, is that we both believe in one God, and we believe in spirits that act as agents to that deity, right? To that one God. And those agents that work for that deity or work through that deity, those spirits are known as mysteries, which in Dominican Voodoo we call misterios. In Haitian Voodoo they call miste, which we also call loi on both sides. And those divine agents basically work in the world and influence the world and the spiritual world, and us, we influence and are in constant interaction with each other, right? And certain people have the capacity to come in contact with, have the calling and the capacity, etc., to become vehicles for those divine beings to come through our bodies and work for others, providing healings. And healings, when I say healings, if you have a problem in your love life, that means healing. So it might be whatever.
I didn't mean to go.
You know, if you have a problem financially, that's actually a healing. You know, there's various types of healing that we do. And like any source of power, right? Power is neutral. It could be used for good, it can be used for bad. And there's also other beings that were also created that some people would consider, you know, bad, right? And so people can use power in many different ways. And many of the things that get associated with voodoo, you know, sometimes have a little bit of a grain of salt, meaning like a little tiny grain of truth in them, but are not true because of everything else that gets blown out of proportion or not correct, right? So one thing is like zombies.
Like Serpent of the Rainbow.
Right, zombies. So zombies do exist. They really actually do exist, and they can be created. But that's not something that voodoo people are just going randomly making zombies.
Zombie for the
physically, and, you know, going around making zombie after zombie and zombifying people. The practice of zombification came from the practice that what happened was there was no proper way to police, right? And there was no proper way to deal with like serious crime in communities. And so in that case, voodoo had to step in, and that person even gets an actual court case, like a court case in front of the whole community.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like it's just randomly enacted on people. So there is a bit of truth in zombies, but there's also a lot of, lies and nonsense around that, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as like, do we have spirits come in our body and, possess us? Of course, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that's true.
Right, yeah.
A lot of the things, you'll see is dramatized, over exaggerated. And sometimes some things may have been like a piece of what you may have seen, but it just goes like, Hollywood does its thing with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do voodoo dolls exist? Yes. Like it's one of the tools that we actually use like the least, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it can be used, right?
Right.
Voodoo practitioners are like shamans, mystics, and witches all rolled into one bundle, right? So does puppet magic exist? Do people use puppets and dolls? Of course, when we're doing magic, but it's a little over exaggerated as far as
Sure.
that, and a lot of it has to do with like racism and all kinds of other things throughout history, because our practices do largely come from like an African foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that.
That's
Cool.
really good though.
A long-winded answer.
No, that's
Not
good.
at all. Now, like the Haitian voodoo, I'm not exactly positive on that one. You've got your the Papa Legba, Dambala, Azaka, is that right?
Uh-huh.
And that type of thing, that would be translated to divisions in your sect, right?
They're actually still Loi. So those are the
Loi,
names of
okay.
different Loi, right?
Mhm.
In our tradition. So let me pull it out. Thank you, Wiser, by the way. Thank you, Wiser, for
I
publishing
love Wiser.
the
Mhm. Very cool.
divisions, Mysteries, Magic, Dominican Voodoo, right?
Mhm.
We have a division named Legba, and there's many spirits that carry the name Legba. And many of the spirits you find in Haitian voodoo, you find in Dominican voodoo, because we share the same roots. It's actually one island. There is no separation there. The separation is like an imaginary border that people have come up with.
Mhm.
The governments have come up with. So it's actually one island. So we share the same root, but how each practice developed differently. So
Mhm.
Kuzen, Dambala, those are actually names of the actual spirits. In our tradition, Legba is also the name of a division that we have. And
Okay.
so, but it contains spirits who are called Legba, who have Legba almost like a last name.
Okay, I understand that. Okay.
Right. So sometimes the voodoo spirits, their names are actually like the last name comes first, and then the first name comes second.
Cool.
Right. So you'll see like Ogu Farai, Ogu Baragi, Ogu Balenjo. I wrote about them all in the book. Right. So it's just their last name is Ogu thing, and that's the family, that's the division or group.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Is there say you're setting up an altar, do you change the altar according to each spirit or division that you're wanting to invoke that day?
Well, with our spirits, the spirits choose you. So there's many spirits, right? But out of those many spirits, the spirits that you have with you are the spirits that will respond to you, right? And so those spirits choose you, and you would have altars to those spirits.
Okay.
And you would work with those spirits, and everyone has like a foundation of spirits that they were born with.
Mm-hmm.
And those spirits that are born with you, just like, you know, in traditions, you're born with guardian and a guardian angel, right? You're born with, for us, you're born with like a guardian Loa and many other spirits. And you would investigate who those spirits are and start to, from there, be able to like develop a practice and develop an altar towards those deities or those spirits that you would be like this with, right?
Okay.
And basically, even though the spirits all have their specializations, their powers spread across the board.
Nice.
So even though one spirit may be a war spirit, that spirit can still help you create peace.
Mm-hmm.
Right? His power is not limited to his realm.
I see.
Very good. Sorry, I clicked over to say hello to a couple people in chat, and and now I've got the lag. There's just a little bit of a lag there.
It happens.
Yep.
I was just going to say on the topic too of, you know, movies, what you see in movies. Is there something in some movies that just drives you absolutely crazy when you see it?
Not at
Or
all.
not really crazy, but just like, oh, please.
No, not really at all. I actually find it quite like hilarious when I see most of it, just
Right.
because it's so far, like a lot of it is so far off base. You
Yeah,
know,
you
they'll
can't
have
even.
spirits that are divine beings walking around like doing coke, you know, like, you know,
what was that?
okay,
Modern Problems.
yeah, exactly. Like, and like, okay, whatevs. Like, I mean, it's entertainment, right?
Right.
You have to take
Mhm.
entertainment for entertainment. Like, nobody takes comedy serious.
Mhm.
No.
Right? So it's not meant to be otherwise.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
exactly it. It's just like that. And,
Mhm.
you know, it does for us, it doesn't matter if you end up at this door through myth or through truth. But if you end up, if some way a door becomes open to you to be able to like go into the depth of your spirit and your being and getting to know really who you are and being able to live a great life, then we don't care what door you came through.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's good. Well, I know, yeah, I'm a paranormal investigator, so a lot of times when I watch some of these shows, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. You know, and I have to like
Oh,
deep breaths,
Mhm.
just let it go. It's for
oh, yeah.
like you say, for entertainment purposes only.
Mhm.
No, I don't take any of it serious.
Very good. Let me see.
I was
I
going to
had
ask
a few
another
different
question, but
questions there.
oh.
Go ahead, Jim, please. Yeah.
I was just like, but I didn't want to, you know, jump in. But well, one thing I'd like to know, since you run the world's, you know, largest website with everything, I was just kind of wondering, what are some of the most popular questions that you get on the website? I mean, you know, from people that know or practice and people that have no clue at all. I was just wondering what some of your most popular questions are.
So one of the most popular things is like, can they get started in voodoo by themselves? Right? Voodoo is not really a 100% solo path, although there is that form of it after you have a degree of training and development.
Sure.
Our spirits, part of the reason, like I say, part of the reason that we're portrayed the way that we are is, you know, people do fear real power.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Mhm.
people fear real power. And I will say that our spirits are real power. Like our spirits will change your life. And our spirits can turn your life upside down
Mhm.
quite easily. And we've run across cases where sometimes people have, you know, jumped in a little too quick on a deep end of the water and to find themselves, kind of in a whole world of mess that they really didn't need to be in, right? If we just take a little bit of ego out of it and bring a little bit of humility when we're walking on the spirit path, on the spiritual mystical path journey that we're all on, and say, hey, I don't know it all. I don't really know about this path. This is not really a kind of like 100% DIY thing. This is definitely something of like, think of it as giving a child a chemistry set. These beings actually do, there are real things that happen that you see in movies. Spirits come through and eat razor blades and eat glass and swallow it, eat glass. There's some of them eat razor blades and glass and they don't even bleed.
Wow.
Okay. There are spirits that go and sit in the middle of a fire and just sit there. Right? There are spirits that basically will jump like a 15-foot leap. Right? That will go from like a ground level outside on the earth to like a 2-story building. Right? And there are these things that actually can come through. And so it's not something of that degree that's going to necessarily come through to, a novice. However, these are powerful divine beings and energies that you're interacting with.
Right.
They're
Exactly.
way bigger than our little human selves.
A lot of respect there. Yeah.
Right. And you can approach the clean being dirty.
Ooh.
Because otherwise, the moment you're there, it's no longer clean. Okay? So you can't reach the highest of the divine beings. And like I said, there's negative beings too, right?
Right.
You can't reach them if you're not really clean. And really clean comes from the inside all the way through and through. It's not something that you can just say, be like, well, I'm a good person, I'm a moral person, and da 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 da. That's not clean.
And don't drink bleach.
Oh, of course. You never die.
Sorry.
We don't want to give you guys any ideas.
Right.
Don't be that clean.
Our people won't do that. None of our people would ever do that.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
That's just, some people.
Right, yeah. Some of them.
My squeaky clean outs insides now.
Eat a Tide Pod, yeah.
Yeah, a little Tide Pod. It's my snacks.
Yeah. Folks, don't do this at home.
No, please don't.
So, for somebody looking to get in it, where would you direct them to begin?
Right.
What I would usually direct them to is basically like, go have a session or a consultation with a number of different priests, really try to research and get to know those priests, because really our tradition is an oral tradition, why it's maintained so much secrecy. And, as spiritual people, we know that where there's secrecy, there's power, right? Where there's mystery, there's magic. And so our tradition is very much, and that's why the 21 divisions, like this book on the 21 divisions, has been really the first book that has been written on the 21 divisions. Because our tradition is oral, it's hard to track. It goes from master to apprentice. So a lot of people, wonder, is there a living magical tradition throughout hundreds of years that has been being practiced, that has ancient roots, that has maintained its life, and yada yada? Yes, there is. Here in the West, by the way, not just like over in other parts of the world, but over here in the West, but it's maintained underground. And in many ways, it's been stepped on to kind of be maintained that way.
Sure. Probably by the bigger religions wanting all of the power and no free will.
Yeah, we call them governments.
Yes, exactly. That too.
Yes. And I mean, with a lot of the passing on traditions and spells and passing on a lot of things, I mean, it makes me wonder how many things have been, say, wrong. How many things, it's like, just passing on some things, and how would somebody new, like, make it right, I guess you'd say, and find out the origins, and I guess it's like the game telephone.
Yeah, it really takes, I even discussed this in the book, was that it really takes a lot to pass something on orally, right? Where
Mhm.
you need to have a clean and clear vessel to receive the teaching.
I see.
Okay.
Mhm.
And because if that person can't receive the teaching properly, they can't pass it on to the next person. But the vessel can't understand the totality of the teaching until they're totally clear. But as they're clearing, they can start to understand more and more and more and more, a gradual process, right?
Mhm.
And once they really get to the true clarity of clearing the vessel, then they'll be able to receive the totality of the teaching. Then the teacher can be like, yeah, if that's their path, for them to go ahead and pass that teaching on to another. Again, it's a very long process, right?
Sure.
And
Mhm.
here we all love Instapot, microwave,
Yes.
Insta cookie,
Yeah.
and Insta everything. The truth is, power and true power doesn't come on an instant.
Right.
It's built and developed over time and with actually lots of fine tuning. And to tell you the honest truth, aren't you worth it? Aren't you worth investing in you? That's what our tradition is really about. When I say healing, I
Mhm.
mean enlightenment. When I say enlightenment, I mean life. When I mean life, I mean like having a happy, blissful one
Mhm.
instead of one that basically sucks, right?
Right.
And where you're just going from misery to misery, problem to problem, where you're dealing with anxiety, depression, heaviness, weightiness, issues here, issues there. That's not, everyone knows that deep down inside, there's more for you in life. And people are miserable because there's more, but you don't know how to get to it,
Mhm.
right? We have the path and we have the tools and the people to guide you on that path with those tools so that you can walk and become that happy person that you're meant to be. And you can be happy because you'll start living your purpose,
Mhm.
doing what's meant for you, living your path. And you can't be happy when you ain't doing your purpose, right? And sometimes there's a lot of other things that even when you are doing your purpose, let me tell you, life, it's like, a beautiful thing that loves this other thing that some people may consider monkey wrenches, right?
Right.
So just because you're working your purpose doesn't mean everything's like, can I curse on here?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
It's not like you're fucking shitting unicorns, right?
Mhm.
Like you're not shitting rainbows and everything all the time. But we can get you to the point where you can kind of start shitting rainbows all the time and be like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. And even when things suck, you're like, damn, I'm living this shit. Like, I don't give a damn. Like, I'm so alive and it's all mine. God has given it to me all, and the whole world is a marketplace.
That was pretty awesome. Well, in that vein, would you like to kind of tell us about your workshops and everything? It's like that you offer.
Yeah, so what I do is I offer classes and workshops here domestically in the US, but also around the globe. And I do in person as well as, over these beautiful technologies that God has given us called, internet, phone, and everything else, right?
Mhm.
And I have apprentices all over the world because I teach classes to people all over the world via these beautiful things here, technologies.
Mhm.
And um, I basically do classes and workshops on spiritual development and the development of you in not only attaining your connection with your spirits and attaining, spiritual development. But what I just said, life development, like basically being a happy human being. Because really, I'm going to tell you something. I don't really give two damns that you can talk to spirits if you're not happy.
So
It doesn't really mean that much to me. Okay. If you're miserable day to day to day to day, let's get that taken care of. And once that's taken care of, we're going to show you how to talk to all the spirits you want. You understand? But let's get you happy. And so it's both. That's what our tradition offers. It says, like, don't just get to know God and be enlightened. If you get to know God and be enlightened, you also get happiness and everything else, and riches and wealth and success and everything else. And there's a way to do it.
That's awesome.
Just open up the paths.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just really about, in society and in government, they teach you how to be a perfect robot, right? But they don't teach you how to live life. They don't teach you how to deal with real life. They don't teach you how to resolve. They don't teach you the science of your soul.
Right.
I like that, the science of your soul.
Fall in line or we shun you, or something along those lines.
So is meditation an important part of that?
Prayer, meditation is just a different form of prayer. Prayer, meditation, rituals. We have some really powerful rituals where the deities, the spirits, come through, right? The spirits come through, the Loa come through, they do work, they heal, they prophesize, they actually do physical healings of things that people have gone into doctors. I have people that have been around the globe to doctors for years and years and years, can't cure, the spirits can cure. And the spirits have cured, and I've seen it time and time again, not just through myself, but through my own teachers and other priests and priestesses of our traditions and other spiritual workers and all these things.
Wow. So what are some of the things that through spiritual work that people, can achieve? Making, give people ideas.
So aside from what we said about happiness, we can achieve work, getting people jobs, getting people work, getting people more financial success, more success in business, more clients, right? More clients, more money. Money isn't everything, but you need it in order to live, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of up there after air and water because nobody's going to give you shit without it.
Yep.
Right.
True.
So everybody likes to say money ain't everything, but you won't survive for very long without at least a few bucks. Right.
Yes, true.
So that love, right? Finding and having great relationships or a great relationship, if that's what's for you, and achieving your various goals and desires and your dreams, as well as, like I said, connecting with the divine, increasing your, what people call here, your psychic abilities, your spiritual gifts, your capacity to heal, right? Dealing with life problems, right? Just all kinds of things that come up. People that have kids, sometimes kids get a little wayward. Sometimes they like to go to jail no matter how well you raise them. Getting people out of jail, getting people healed physically as well as physical ailments, but emotional ailments, mental ailments, anxiety, depression, mental imbalances, OCD, BPD, LMNG, all those things. You understand?
With
These
little
things are
LSD.
very real that people are suffering with, and we heal those things.
That's very nice. I lost my, okay. One question that we had from Jake that he was asking how, if you knew of any similarities between like Appalachian folk magic and what you guys do, the brujo and brujeria.
I'm a little familiar with Appalachian folk magic, and that I know of, I don't know of that many similarities, other than the fact that there is some Catholicism, from what I understand, in various points of Appalachian folk magic, not all across the board, from what I understand. And in our tradition, we do have that Catholic element because our tradition brought together the shamanic practices of the native Taino people of the islands, as well as the practices of many African tribes, but also Spanish Catholicism and some of their European practices. But in our country, we also have some very little, but Germanic influences and a few other influences that came in later. And it doesn't show as strongly in our tradition, but there's little drops here and there. So I would say probably maybe in the use of like dealing with saints, right? But for us, saints act as basically a cover for the spirits, because the Catholic wouldn't let us practice our tradition.
Right. They had to have that ultimate power and hold everybody down. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So, and those laws of things, like even like the last laws were about being jailed, but those things were even like up until like 1950s in some places, were still being enacted in some places in the islands.
Wow.
So, you know, for witchcraft and practicing these traditions and such like that.
Right. Yeah. Demonizing that which has nothing to do with demonica.
Yeah.
No, you know, and what I always say, right? You know, if you're protected, you're not afraid, right?
Right.
So the protected can afford to be nice.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
We can afford to be sweet, right? Because we know that, you know, right around the corner, and when you're strong, you can afford to be sweet.
Yes.
Right? Only really in our tradition, we say only the strong people are truly nice and sweet, because everyone else has to protect themselves, right? Only truly strong people who are truly protected and know of their protection can afford to be vulnerable, right? We
Very
can
true.
afford it, right? Otherwise, you have to protect yourself and you have to destroy others in order to do so.
Sadly, I do know a few people like that. It's really sad how they live their lives like that. Just be so miserable all the time. And it's just like, how do you want to live your life like that? Like,
believe in yourself, grab a little self-esteem and power, and that makes you powerful. And then you can be a good person.
Yeah. You know.
There are a lot of people in there saying, "Hi, Papa."
Oh, hi, everybody. Thank you for coming in.
To Lisa Rainbow and Leanne Kramer and Brenda Berger and just all kinds of people in there saying hi.
Hi, all of you guys. I love you guys.
So, you know, with everything that's going on now, how has, you know, COVID-19 kind of changed the way you work?
Or has it at all?
Yeah, or has it, you know?
Only in a little small way it did, but not really majorly, because we've all become like an internet culture, right? So a lot of, you know, and I know the access of all these tools. So I was already like pre-COVID doing a lot of my consultations on the phone, and, you know, classes on the phone or via video and all kinds of things like this. So that, however, ceremonies, we usually hold a lot of big ceremonies, and I'm known to have ceremonies. Like, I usually these days have to keep the list kind of a bit small, because otherwise you get problems with neighbors and all kinds of things, because we've been known to have ceremonies with 200 and 300 people.
Wow.
So Yeah.
That was
And,
fun.
oh yeah, it's awesome. So, but we usually try to keep it down around 75 or whatever in pre-COVID, right?
Right.
So, but now with the COVID, we can't just be having people all up in a group, all up in that, all in tight quarters and all that
Right.
stuff. It's just like, you know, we don't do that to people. So that's changed it. We've had to like make ceremonies like really way small, but, you know, the magic of technology. So me being me, I've always been an innovator. So in our traditions, it was really like not that commonly heard of doing consultations with people over the phone, you know, and people didn't put ceremonies or things on video or on YouTube, right?
Right.
Well, of course, me, I did both them damn things. And of course, I got shit for it for a good portion of time from the communities. But you know my response, right? They would say I couldn't do it. And I said, well, it looks like I can because I did. And 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 I'm sorry if you are personally challenged that you can't, but I can, I did. And so tell me, I really don't care if you think I can't. So me, I'm, you know, spiritualists, we're just not, and especially voodoo people, we're not always the best at following rules because we make our own, because when you're a master of yourself and your destiny, you don't follow just random rules that are imposed on you. Right. So then about, you know, after a year or two, that's now what everyone does, you know, all in my community. You know, they put their things on YouTube and da 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 and blah 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 blah. Right. But someone has to be the person to be jump out and do it and kind of like, you know, take some blame here and there for it, whatever. And really, it is what it is. So now I'm also offering, you know, for people to be able to come in and watch ceremonies virtually, right? And have a small team of individuals that we have here who are very well trained, who have been my godchildren for a long time, who have their own spiritual practices, many of them themselves, also doing the voodoo work for people, right? They come in and we work together in that small group to get the spirits to come and, you know, do a lot of what can't be done, you know, with though, like people can't come in person, right? So you make do and you make it work. And people are getting in on that. And there's all types of other things as far as ceremonies. But as far as more other work, because of current times, much work is already done like at a distance. Right. I work for clients all over the world and I resolve all types of problems. I heal all types of problems. I deal with all types of, you know, love, money, people in jail, court cases, you know, custody battles, all of that stuff for people all over the world. I've been doing so since 2000 online. So we're very well versed with all of that. So, you know, people coming in person throughout the years, unless for major rituals, you know, where we have these major rituals and feasts that we do every so often, people are coming in person just like on making it so common as reduced over the years just naturally because of current times. You know, we have all these accesses to technology. Right? You don't have to like drive, you know, 10 towns over to go see the witch. Right? True. You know, you can call the witch up and you can be like blah blah blah. You know, so that, and I love it. It's all good. Life is good. So can't nothing be bad because, you know, I'm in it and I'm doing it. And so therefore I don't experience bad. It look good. I love it. And everybody's getting in, and even more people are even getting to kind of witness and be in ceremony because, you know, we're adjusting and making it virtual. So, you know, there is certain challenges that come with that, right? And there are certain things that can't be done must absolutely be done in person. There is no ifs, ands, ways about it.
Mhm.
That's just the way it is. Certain ceremonies and rituals, but those are usually more so, one-on-one,
Right.
Okay.
right? And so
Mhm.
we just take the proper precautions and yeah, do what we do.
Well, also on that vein too, with COVID-19 and sicknesses and everything like that, do you think a lot of it is can be mind over matter in a sense, to where being stronger, I guess you'd say a stronger person or stronger in your beliefs, is there something that can ward off a lot of sicknesses and I mean, I don't know, I was just kind of wondering about.
Hmm. So in our tradition, we would say the thing that can ward off illnesses is the development of your personal spiritual force, your personal spiritual power. When your personal spiritual power is developed, it's like an immune system unto itself,
Right.
right? And it actually strengthens your your real immune system,
Mm-hmm.
I can see
and
that. Yeah.
that's what's really going to keep you as protected as possible, right? There's no better protection than two things, right? Is your personal spiritual power, and have it when you have that and properly working and developing a part of that power in your spiritual sight, right? Because if you have spiritual sight, then you know where to go and where not to go and when to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a time and a place, right? In this time, throughout this time of the COVID-19, I have been on the plane multiple times. I have gone to multiple places and I've been just fine, right? And I'm not
Good.
saying like to this to be a badass and I'm like blah 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 and I'm just like doing it on some dumb stuff, but it's actually been for people that really have some real deep issues going on and really need help, and some of them were affected in these issues because of the COVID-19, right?
I'm sure.
In many other ways, not in necessarily having it, right? And we had to go in and we had to do what we had to do for people. And just like doctors had to go out and do what they had to do for people, we're spiritual doctors. So we had to go out and deal with people at the foundation of where you are. It's your spirit that can make you suicidal. It's not your body.
Mm-hmm.
Your body doesn't make you suicidal.
Right.
Your spirit does. Your soul does. Right? It's a
Right.
pain in
True.
it's a problem in the soul that does that. It's a problem in the soul at a soul level that, causes you certain other problems in your life that are not necessarily just physical, medical in one sense, with concern with your body. Right? So I'm not saying like, oh yeah, like I'm a badass, go everybody, go just do whatever, blah, blah, blah. Don't take proper precautions. I'm saying take proper precautions, develop yourself spiritually, develop your forces, and there will be times, hey, it might be if you have spiritual sight, hey, don't go. It's not time to go. It's not safe for you to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't go. And that, along with properly taking care of yourself, washing your hands, which you should have been doing before anyway.
Yep.
Yes. True.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like washing yourself, which I hope you were also doing.
Right.
And like, not being all like this all the time, being really mindful and things of that nature. We as a society, sooner or later, everything's gonna have to open up.
Right.
Right. Eventually.
Financially, everyone's not gonna be able to, and no government can sustain any like huge populace over time forever.
Right.
So we're not gonna have a choice.
Right.
Right? And
Mhm.
whenever that happens, wherever it happens, whenever we open up in various portions, wherever they open up, there will be a spike. Why? Because the only reason we were safe was because we were all distanced from each other.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't all stay distanced from each other forever. Right?
No.
And I'm not saying like, go all over people, but we gotta be a little realistic here. They're not gonna find something to deal with this tomorrow, next week, probably not even next year.
Yeah. Hopefully.
right?
Right.
Hopefully, at least, yeah, next year. I'm hoping. I'm optimistic. I'm trying.
Yeah. You know, it's good to be an optimist,
But
but
I'm a
you
realist
know,
too.
I'm more of a realist than an optimist, right? Because to me, being optimistic is kind of the opposite of being pessimistic, right? And you know, sometimes when one is very optimistic, it just swings you into pessimism.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's like it didn't happen. And you're like,
Right.
screw everything. I hate everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, you
The
know.
ostrich
So
effect. Hmm.
Yeah. I know. I get that sometimes. It's like, oh, just screw it. And I'm putting my head in the sand.
Yeah.
you know, and
Mhm.
what I say is like if you're good and you know for most part you're eating every day, you have what you need, and every once in a while you gotta wear a mask to go somewhere and do something. Like and just gotta keep to yourself. As far as witches, mystics, spiritual people, anyone into the paranormal and things like that, we're freaking loners anyway, bro. Like
Exactly.
it
Yep.
doesn't matter. Like to us, they're gonna all say to us like, you all have to stay inside. We're like, oh okay, like we've been training for this for life, you know.
I was
Like we don't need to
self-isolating
worry
before it
about
was
all
cool.
that.
Mhm.
Huh?
Yep.
Yeah, like so yeah, so we've been doing this long, you know.
Mhm.
It's really those other people who are more extroverted, right?
Mhm.
Who a lot of times may have really suffered, and for them it's the same suffering at times that it might be to take an introvert to a freaking party,
Right. Mhm.
right? So they may have suffered and gone a little stir crazy, but you know, for us it was just like, oh yeah, it's another day, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I find myself to be an extrovert, but I really love my introverted times, and actually I've really been kind of enjoying a lot of this. I mean, there's a lot of friends I really, still want to hug and see and everything, and that's kind of killing me a little bit because it's just like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
when? And there's a lot of
When,
trips
yeah.
I want to go on. I want to fly, want to fly some places, and I'm still a little like gun shy about flying. Even if I do take all the precautions, but still.
Let me tell you something. When the whole COVID thing happened, we actually had predicted the COVID thing back in October. And when the whole COVID thing happened, after they still weren't fully taking it seriously here, but it was in February or March, and I was in the islands and then South America, right?
Wow.
Oh boy.
And
Mhm.
and came back on a flight. Then I had to end up going to Florida. And let me tell you, the whole airport, everything was a ghost town. I absolutely loved it. So here's the thing. It was probably one of the safest public places I could have went because nobody was there. I went through the TSA in like 2 minutes. And that's unheard of, especially for me, because I'm always pulled aside.
Oh God.
So it's just my special look, you know. So um I went through there like in 2 minutes. Everything's closed in there, right?
Mhm.
And like there was no traffic anywhere in the airport or in anything. And I used both Newark Airport, like basically Newark International, which is the major one next to JFK. It's the next one that's right up there, or Philadelphia Airport, both very busy airports. Like we drove in there, it was so smooth, everything. It was probably one of the cleanest places. So then I made another trip I had to make. Then the last trip, however, oh, by the way, on all those trips, I had my own row. There was probably out of the picture
That
where
is
there was
so unheard
only
of anymore.
10 people, period, on the plane, myself
Wow.
included,
That is so
right?
awesome.
Another time, there was only 5 of us, myself included. And here's the real kicker for you, okay?
Mhm.
The ticket prices were like $50, $70, whatever. So when they say that they can't charge you, that they have to charge you $400, $500, $300, $600 for a plane ticket, but they pack the plane,
Mhm.
that's not true, right?
Mhm.
You can
I
afford
agree.
to send 10 people for $50 each. Maybe a few people paid you a little more. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's such a bunch of BS. But
I
anyway,
agree. Yeah,
that's a whole different ball
I
game,
know.
right?
It's frustrating.
And yet on the last trip that I went, however, the whole plane was packed just like olden times.
Oh, wow.
And no seat left on without a butt. And the tickets had went back up, like back to like, back up again. Like
Mhm.
back to like pre-COVID pricing, but even kind of pre that. I don't know
Mm.
if you guys remember when flights were always like at least $400 to
Oh
$600,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
at
Mhm.
minimum. So they started going up towards those prices. What I have seen as of recent times, they're going back down, I guess, because various places are having spikes.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I'll tell you.
Okay. Now in doing the research and trying to do some background check and just looking at different aspects of the voodoo and hoodoo, Santeria, the whole 9 yards. Um, there's a lot of blood sacrifice there. Does your practice have a lot of that as well? Usually chicken or goat, but
So in the Haitian voodoo tradition, there is blood sacrifice. It is a part of the tradition. In
mhm,
our tradition of 21 divisions, there's some lineages. So our tradition has what we call lineages, which mean like, it went from this group of masters to these students and was passed down, passed down, passed down. So
mhm,
some of them with more Haitian influences. Again, we're on the same island with many of the same background.
mhm,
Some of those lineages have sacrifices, but even then it's very minimalized in comparison to the other traditions. It's usually only used for very specific healing treatments, like against death and things of this nature.
mhm.
And you know, is very rare. And then many participants in our tradition and many of the other lineages don't practice animal sacrifice at all. We do make offerings, right?
Okay.
We do
Mhm,
make food offerings. We do eat meat. We're not vegan
mhm,
or any of that. Basically, we're not really against anything.
mm,
So it's called acceptance.
mhm,
So we were
mhm.
just not
Yes.
really against anything, but
Mhm,
or anyone. If that's what you want to do, that's what you do, right? But we don't really practice animal sacrifice. Many lineages do not.
mhm.
Some lineages do, but in 21 divisions, there's very few of them that do.
Okay.
And
That
there's
that looked like it was more the African based voodoo practices and what have you.
the African-based ones definitely,
Hmm.
even more so than the Haitian ones, right? The African
Right.
practices are almost really centered around just a lot of sacrifice.
Hmm.
But even in the Asian ones, it's way less than I've seen in the African-based voodoos.
Okay.
And but in the 21 divisions, you have just some lineages that do.
Hmm.
But I would say in the island, meaning in the DR, of the 21 division lineages that I have run across, at least 80% don't. 85% don't.
That would be more my speed. I'm squeamish.
You know,
Hmm.
and then in the Sanse practice, which I'm also was part of my family upbringing and our tradition, there is none at all.
Okay.
So again, Sanse and 21 divisions both deal with the voodoo spirits
Mm-hmm.
that are in the 21 divisions, which many of which we find in Haiti, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's not a big part of these practices that we're talking about tonight. Yeah.
Oh, I noticed there wasn't a lot of mention of it, so I wanted to ask. I was kind of curious.
Yeah, it's not mentioned because it's not really something that's really often used.
Mm-hmm.
And even it would have to really a lot of those lineages, let's say that other 15% that do it, there's just very specific instances
Mm-hmm.
in which that's called for. In our tradition, we kind of think that if you develop your power really well, like basically you can get to the point where those instances are never really needed,
I understand. Mm-hmm.
you know. But in certain cases, sometimes you need life for life.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's very uncommon. Even many times, those people can be saved without doing those things. Right.
Good.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
thousands of treatments that we have.
Mm-hmm. Good workarounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Well,
No,
can you? Oh, go ahead,
go ahead,
Mindy. I'm
June.
sorry.
No, please.
No, I was just going to ask. Oh, you had mentioned the Sanse tradition. I was just wondering, can you tell us what a Sanse initiation is?
So, in Sanse, so Sanse and 21 divisions are different but related practices,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, are you speaking on Sanse or 21?
Whatever you'd like.
Okay.
The Sanse
Okay.
or 21.
So, in Sanse, Sanse has another practice known as Espiritismo that is part of the 21 division practice. So where these two practices melded together,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it adds a different element, right? In either scenario, initiations, all initiations in either scenario, and actually in various other forms of voodoo, you want to think that there's various kind of grades or levels of initiation, and that people usually take successively, meaning you take one and then you develop yourself to a certain point, and then you're given permission by the spirits to take the next one, and then develop yourself, and then the next one, and each one further develops your connection with either certain spirits or your spirits as a whole, and makes that connection stronger, as well as your capacities to have that spirit either come through in some cases or work with you, or however that develops for you. And so initiations usually take a process of many days. But again, it depends on the grade of initiation that's being undergone.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that, right? So it takes
Mm-hmm.
many days, and it depends on the grade of initiation that's
Okay.
being undertaken.
Okay.
Nice. Do you do a lot of the traditional drummings and the dancing and for your rituals and what have you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of like what's changed a little bit with the COVID, right? So
Right.
that's part of when we have our drummings, those are usually our really large ceremonies. And our spirits all have like major feast days that they're celebrated on, usually
Okay.
on the Catholic feast day of that saint that they're associated with.
Mm-hmm.
And so we celebrate them and kind of pay them, make offerings, give back for everything we've received, give thanks and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that is drumming and dancing and allowing the spirits to come through the vehicle of what we call mounting. Mounting basically means positive possession, right?
Mm-hmm.
Possession that's desirable,
Right.
right? And letting those spirits come through and do their thing and do what they do whatever that be, enjoy the ceremony, be with us, heal, prophesize, just, do whatever it is that they do, accept their offerings, eat, drink, the spirits do all kind of fun stuff. So, yeah, and that's part of what we do is the drummings. I have some on YouTube occasionally, like, that we done previously, right? Pre-COVID, our drummings, et cetera, and we get drummers to come on in and play the rhythms, and we have certain dances, and yeah, it's awesome.
That sounds fun.
We all eat together. We all have cake. Some drinks. It's our tradition is really about family and community, and which is so funny because when people think voodoo, right? Voodoo is not family, community, healing. It's zombies, blood, guts,
snakes and puppets, and
exactly.
But that's not the truth about us at all. But truth can rarely be seen; it can only be felt.
Right. Absolutely, yes.
And
what? Oh, please.
What's essential always lies, is not seen by the eye.
True.
I was curious when you were speaking about the spiritual eye, or sight, excuse me, spiritual sight. Now, would that be a lot along the lines of what a lot of us would say was intuition?
Maybe we have intuition, and that's a start, right?
Okay.
That's a start to it. But intuition, we say, is like basically that first step, right? When you develop your spiritual eye, you're going to develop the capacity to see from the spirit. And from the spirit, you're going to see at a different level. For us, intuition is not something that taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, do this, hey, do that. Intuition actually immediately becomes action, true intuition. So, because when we work with people and, you get aligned with your spiritual abilities, intuition means to know without instruction, right? So, to know without instruction, and you automatically know like that without instruction. So that's a start. And then developing your spiritual eyes, developing the eye of your spirit, of your soul, to really be able to really see. That takes it to the next level. A lot of times intuition can kind of like come right underneath the radar, and you just move along your intuition, and you didn't even realize you moved on your intuition. Right? That's the beauty of intuition. But it's definitely one of our tools as that first step in spiritual development.
Nice.
So
And
go ahead. No, sorry, we both have these questions. No, go ahead, because your question was probably in the same line as what was going on.
No, go ahead. I'm going to pop over and try to get some of the links to
cool.
Hector's sites and things, and post them in the chat room.
Nice. Very nice. No, I was just wondering, what advice can you give somebody that is, has a lot of anxiety, asking for a friend? No, just kidding. No, seriously, it's like, what advice can you give somebody that has a lot of anxiety and can't seem to let go of things and things like that?
So the main thing is that anxiety is a symptom of basically something wrong at a spirit level. And that's how we see it. It's just it's a symptom. And if you try to treat the symptom, you're not going to get the illness resolved. And it's a illness that's not the person's fault. Let me tell you, life and society, they're here to give you illnesses, right? Basically, they work, the world, society, life, it works to fuck you up, right? So it make sure to give that wear and tear and mess people up. And so in part of that, it actually puts things like illnesses and anxiety being one of them in our, not anxiety, but other things in our system that gives up, that ends up causing us anxiety when there's no need for anxiety, right? And we get anxiety and we can stop like being able to focus or not be able to let go, etc. But it's actually something deeper. And what we do as voodoo priests is that's when we come in for people and we do a consultation, find out what that deeper thing is, and let's take that out from the root, right? When you take it out from the root, no longer are you treating anxiety because no longer is there anxiety. Anxiety is simply like the weed, the top of the weed. And a lot of treatments for anxiety, okay, I'm gonna just call a spade, therapy, psychiatry, psychology, all of that's BS, okay? It doesn't work. You talking about your problems doesn't fix your problems. It doesn't make you, it may make you feel better in the moment because you're venting, right? But it doesn't like really fix these issues. And what happens is people stay on meds or doing these things for years and years and years and not be, they may feel a little better, they may have certain resolutions, but a lot of times we treat people that have been going to therapists for 10 years, we treat therapists. We have therapists. We have therapists that, you know, we've treated for anxiety and this and that, which they're treating other people for, right? It's actually one of my large demographic. So, okay, so talking about problems doesn't resolve them. We say that it's not your fault, but it's something that lies at a deeper level. And it lies at the very core of your being. And your spirit, your soul is the core of your being. So if you remember, I just said that that which is essential can never be seen by the eye. Okay? Everyone who sees you, they look at you from their eyes. Right? But when you come to someone who's really developed themselves on this path, you come to a spiritual master, they see your essence, who you really are behind all those layers down in the deepest core of your being. And when we see what's in the deepest core of your being, then whatever's messing up from that deepest core, the innocent one, the one that is curious about life, the one that loves life, when we go ahead and we deal with whatever's blocking that being and dealing with what's stopping that being from really being able to exist happy just like you were at one time when you were a child, very, very young. You didn't have anxiety. You didn't have those things. You didn't even hardly have a mind. You just had fun. You just ate, shit, slept. You understand? But now you did that without knowing. Now we show you how to do that with also being able to know and function in the world, right? But we say that's actually what's going on. And anxiety is what's showing you, hey, you know, something's blocking you from really, you know, being you and getting to be, you know, lacking that essential part of who you are. So that's what we take a look at. We don't give a damn, or at least I don't, okay? I don't give a damn about none of the other bullshit layers and all the other stuff and, you know, bad things that you did before and all that other things. You understand what I'm saying? We care about the true essence of who you are. That true essence has always stayed the same. Many things have happened to it. And it's harmed it, it's scarred it, it's caused it a lot of pain, right? It's harmed it. The world has messed things up. Parents, sometimes even with trying to do good, right? Trying to help someone, sometimes it can mess you up, it can fuck you up, right? And we got to get there, deal with that, resolve that. Anxiety disappears. Actually, that's one of the biggest things I deal with and treat for people is anxiety, depression, and all the problems that causes for people as like a roll ahead, because people who haven't suffered from that don't really understand what that can be like for people having to deal with other people when you're dealing with that, and also not being able to other things like let certain things go, et cetera, et cetera. And that's because there's really something way deeper that's like knocking at the door. Okay. And it's going to keep knocking until it's really resolved.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah.
Do you have any experience with generational like curses and things? We have another friend who's a shaman and a Southern Conjure guy and grew up a lot like you did, only I believe in Mexico instead of
Is it Roman?
Roman, yes.
Yeah, we do. We do have cures and work that we do for generational curses, you know, ancestral curses, but also the ancestral crap that you inherited. Everybody inherits ancestral crap, right? So we family crap, ancestral crap. It's just passed down, just like your DNA,
Yep.
right? There's all kinds of other things that get passed down to you, and some of it good, some of it crappy. So we deal with all that. Basically, if it's anything to do with like you as a human being able to like be here, we got to deal with it because, you know, how are you supposed to like enjoy this life? I tell people all the time, and you know, don't quote me on an exact number here, y'all, but because you know, we're spiritualists, mystics, you know, numbers sometimes. So it's about 40,000 days that you have to live. That's an average like 70-year-old lifespan. And you know, some of us don't make it till then. Okay. By the time you're 35, you've already spent 20,000 days. How much cash do you spend in a year? Most people spend more than $20,000. Okay.
That's on Amazon.
Yeah, okay. Nothing in your life is worth, nothing in your life is worth you not savoring every last one of those 20,000 days, or however many days it is for you that you have left. Okay. I tell people, don't believe in anything. Don't believe in a next life. Okay. If you have seen other people and spirits from the next life, great, they had a next life. But stop believing that you will have one. Okay? Because then you can put shit off for the next life. You can put being happy off for the next life. In fact, that's what the crackpots, basically known as like religions, have taught you. Don't worry about this life, you know, suffer and be miserable in this life. Your happiness is in the next life.
Right.
Okay. And that's a belief. Maybe there is a next life because we've seen spirits and we can see it. But what I tell everyone is don't take it for granted or promise that you will have one. So savor each one of your days. Savor it like it's like the best thing you've ever eaten. And if anything is in like cumbering you, stopping you from doing that, find the solution. Do the solution. Our tradition has many of them, but whatever's for you, find the solution, resolve it so that you can live every freaking day like, you wake up, you're like, this shit tastes good. It's called my fucking life.
Right.
You know, I tell everyone, you know, people will say to me like, do great, you know, I wish you luck. I know it's going to be great because I'm in it. And so, it's not about arrogance or being cocky. I don't think I'm better than anyone. In fact, I say I'm exactly as everyone. Okay? I'm not better than anyone. I'm just a result of what anyone else can achieve for themselves. Right? And I'm just a testament to the work that I've done and the work that's there for everyone, that's there for life. Right? And that's just what I want to be. I want to be a testament to this work, to everything that it's given me, because it can give it to others too. And there's no reason to be walking around here like not fucking savoring this thing,
So
because
true.
you know, many people had a little bit of a mini wake up call when the COVID came,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it's really still on a mini level. It's on a mini level,
Right.
right? Because when you're worried about little things like wearing masks and things like this, you still having, you know, these are little things,
Hmm.
right? Savor life, right?
Hmm.
Like, feel like that is so delicious to you. Become alive. Don't be a robot, right?
Right.
You weren't made to be a robot. You weren't made to be liked, okay? God
Hmm.
didn't make you to be liked. God didn't make you to be a robot or follow rules, okay? Don't harm others. Do your thing. Live and let live, right? And it's really like, these are things that we can say to you in a way, and it's, you know, all great advice. It's easier said than done, but when you do the work, you're transformed. You're transformed from a human being to a divine being. You become the God that's inside of you becomes alive. You become a living deity, a living God. Not in many lifetimes, like in some enlightenment traditions, in this damn lifetime. We don't have time to wait for many lifetimes. Like I said, you might not get one.
Right.
Mhm.
So
True.
let's
Mhm.
stop taking for granted that everyone gets a next lifetime.
So
All
true.
right. You know, be happy now. And if something's encumbering you, you know, I want people to know, like, if something's encumbering you, we got the solution. We got
Mm.
the solutions. I know, because it did it for me. It's done it for many people. It's done it for people I know. And it's done it for people all over the place that I know. And it's done it through me, for me. And basically, I owe everything to it. And I'm more than happy to do it. Right. Because being alive and being like savoring life and just loving it, even when shit goes wrong. Okay. Even because life, it's a journey,
Mhm.
right? There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be sunny days, and there's going to be storms. But let me tell you, I love storms, by the way,
Mm.
but you know, I just do, especially if it's lots of lightning.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
me too.
I want to run out and stuff like that. But you know, there's also going to be storms that you might, you know, not so much love, but we can teach you how to love that too, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So because either way, you're living it, you're experiencing it, you're there, you get to be there, right?
Right.
And I'm about to say something that's real, but the spirit just give it to me to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So it's going to be a little off the wall here, okay? But there were like millions of other sperm, okay, fighting to be here, okay? And you might have not made it, but you were the one that was chosen, because it took two things to come together to make you, my dear,
True.
okay?
Mhm.
And so in this life, we create warrior kings. Why? Because you have to be a warrior, but you got to be a king, because you got to keep it classy. You don't want to, you know, fall into the trash. And
Right.
don't be surprised when trash stinks. You can't expect trash to act like class, you
True.
know? But these are all things that we teach our people. These are all certain understandings of life that sometimes other people tell you is not true, because they're too, like, kind of like indoctrinated and controlled and things of that nature, and they don't have spiritual eyes to see reality.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. And so since they can't see, they can't tell you the truth. They're telling you the truth from their perspective, but people's perspective is not true.
Right.
So true. It's like one of my favorite movies with Rosalind Russell and Auntie Mame, and she says, "Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death. So
I
live,
know.
live, live."
Mhm.
Oh,
It's like
yes.
my favorite.
Yep. And that's exactly how I feel. That's how a lot of like long-term practitioners in our traditions feel. That's like a lot of my godchildren and my apprentices, my people who have been with me feel. And they'll all tell you the same thing, because, you know, it's delicious. Life is
Mhm.
delicious.
It's so true.
Eat,
Amen.
drink, and be merry because tomorrow we die.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And like COVID should taught you like what is real and what is false. Because what is real, it isn't so easily destroyed, but what is false is.
Hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Really true.
Just wading through it and being able to determine which is false and which is the truth. Sometimes.
Well, that's where that development of that power and that spiritual eye comes into play. Because that's where you start to see reality. And when you see reality, let me tell you, it's going to fuck you up. And it's going to be a good fucking you up. But at the same time, you're going to be like, damn, this is what, and that's going to shake it all up for you. But now that you see real reality, now you can start to really be happy. Right? Because now you have a real map. Not a map based on like, some child drew some scribbles on a piece of paper and you thought that was the map.
Right.
Right. Because somebody else told you it was the map.
Exactly.
Yes, good. I like that. It's like, yep, we're taking the red pill or the blue pill for the Matrix. When you want your eyes opened.
Exactly.
Which
Blow
are you
your
gonna
mind.
pick? Yes.
Exactly.
We have a lot of people there in the chat room. I'm going to throw it out there. If you guys have questions, please just post them there and we will certainly get them asked or answered, or maybe a combination of both, hopefully.
And is there something that we haven't asked you yet that you would like to, maybe throw out there and talk about too? We'll make sure that we cover all our bases here.
No, I think you guys have covered a lot of things.
Yeah, we're like,
I think you guys are thorough.
and
right?
tell me, Papa,
like
why is the sky blue? No.
Who says it's blue?
Yeah, it's probably not blue, actually. I went to science class.
Sorry.
I didn't pay attention though, but Oh God.
I had a stack of notes and a couple. I think we've asked most of it though. We did. We covered.
Yeah, we're savages,
We are.
We ate this up, right?
Yes, we did.
Oh yeah, we really are.
There was. June, ask something. Talk. Sing for us, June.
Yeah,
Do you know of or think that there may be truth to the old blues singer Robert Johnson? He sang a lot about the Crossroads and supposedly made a deal with the Crossroads demon, but there is theory out there that it was actually Papa Legba.
Well, in a lot of our traditions, things were demonized, right?
Right. Oh, of course. And still are.
And still are all over the place. And so that's A. And B is, here's this. Most people, they're wearing all types of glasses. They're just the wrong prescription. And so if you wear the wrong prescription, you can see what you want to see.
So true. Those rose-colored glasses.
Yep. And you can see people in ways that they really aren't. Right. And so you can see spirit in a way that it really isn't.
Right.
And you can see it in a devilish way because that's the only thing that can basically filter through those lenses. Right. So I do think that he could have very much be referring and having like made deals with Papa Legba. Right, because Papa Legba is the spirit of our crossroads, and we have various aspects of Papa Legba, right? That basically people would say is more like morally open, right?
Yes.
Right. So they
Mhm.
could be like, he could be what people would say negative or dark or light, right? Depending on his various forms. Because for us, you know, is not just the light that is, you know, sacred,
Right.
right? You
Mhm.
can't have light without darkness,
Precisely.
True.
right? In
Mhm.
fact, light is quite destructive, which is why we often find that a lot of people that claim to be light workers are very angry, destructive individuals, right?
Yes.
And sometimes passive aggressive, right? So it's because light actually destroys. Darkness has never destroyed anything. It's
Right.
never anything, right?
True.
So, but people have been taught to fear the darkness. And, you know, and people have been heavily ingrained with the devil, right?
Right.
The
Mhm.
devil has been beat into people. You didn't have the devil before people started beating it into you, you know? It's
Mhm.
just an impossibility, right?
Right.
Like the devil gets beat into people, you know, throughout the course of life. So I do believe that he could have been interacting with the spirit at the crossroads. It
Mhm.
could have been Papa Legba, but it could also have not been Papa Legba. Like demons
True.
do exist, right?
Mhm.
Negative spirits do exist that are demons. And hey, they do deals at the crossroads too. And, you know, hey, if you felt he needed a deal, maybe he really did. That's
True.
how you know, I'm all about live and let live. Like it's life,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Right.
you know, maybe he really did. So, but there are negative spirits that people would classify as demons. So I can't really say what exactly his experiences were, but a lot of people I have heard this that say like that is a reference to Papa Legba. And in the South, what I do understand is in many ways Papa Legba was demonized in the South of this United States. And he
Hmm.
was
Sure.
kind of
Mhm.
demonized and conflated with the devil, like,
Mhm.
you know. So it would make sense that he would use that terminology if he wanted to refer to what he was doing Papa Legba, and no one maybe would understand what that meant, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Or,
Mhm.
you know, it's the same thing like voodoo, right? The word itself. So many practitioners, like if you look here on my book, I don't know how good that goes clear, you'll see it's VOODOO,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
For many practitioners, this could be kind of controversial, the spelling of it, because for many practitioners, the way that it's actually properly said is Vodou.
Voodoo.
Okay.
Okay, but voodoo was a term that was given to it. Actually, it was re-said that way in a form of discrimination at first,
Oh.
right?
Okay.
It was like basically we're not going to respect your tradition, so we're going to purposefully like hack up the name.
Mm.
Sure. I
Okay,
understand. Mhm.
but we're warriors and kings and classy and stuff like that. So we said we accept. We'll take that too,
So there.
right?
Mhm.
We'll take that
Hmm.
too. How
Yeah,
do
it's
you
not
like
going to
that?
bother us.
We'll
No,
turn it
we're
to
gonna
our
claim that
advantage.
name too. We'll call
Mhm.
ourselves Voodoo, whatever. But actually, that's where that name comes from,
Hmm.
meaning that pronunciation,
Okay.
Voodoo, rather than Vodou, right? And so that came from out of a period of like racism and crushing other people.
Mhm.
So that in and of itself can be a very controversial word. So I would say the same thing could have happened in his songs and his melodies if he wanted that to sell, you know, a little, marketing work there,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
More people will be familiar with voodoo, I mean, the devil, than saying, hey, like I'm at Papa Legba at the crossroads. People maybe start, going deep into looking at that, okay, and then find
Mhm.
out that it's actually voodoo, and they will not mess with him no more. Let me tell you something. I've met many people, And if I tell them I'm a Satanist, they're totally comfortable with me. They love me. They're like, you're cool. I like you, blah, 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 blah. But certain people, if I tell them I practice voodoo, that same person who was fine with me as a Satanist will not be fine with me if they hear the word voodoo.
Understood.
That's
Because
how
of the
deep-
demonization of it.
That's how deep that runs.
Right. They think if I make him mad, he's going to make a doll of me. And
Yeah, the fear and the demonization has run that deep, that they're not scared of Satanists. They're not scared of Satan or whatever. But you say voodoo now, it's taken a now you're talking about the real devil.
Right.
Okay, I've run across about supposed enlightened individuals who, you know, are scared of me after they find out I practice voodoo, right? But here's my thing is, the proof is in the pudding, right? Get to know me as a person and as a character, right? Good apples don't come from bad trees.
Right.
Okay, good ones don't, right? So a bad tree can't produce good apples. Right, so that, and it's the same thing with other, you know, magical practitioners. Sometimes will be like voodoo, and then they're like, that's devil stuff, and blah, 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 blah. And even that's even in some magical communities who are a bit more open-minded. Right, so that's how deep that fear runs. And, you know, but I'm not going to say that it's not 100% warranted. Okay.
Right.
You know, you should kind of fear a fire, right? You should not so much fear it, but respect it.
There you go.
Right. So it is kind of warranted because voodoo practitioners do have a lot of power. And, you know, that power used by the wrong person in the wrong way, who hasn't developed themselves and their character and everything else, can be quite harmful and destructive, right? Voodoo black magic does exist, right? And there is the dark side, and it can be very harmful, very destructive, and it happens all the time, right? So, you know, I can kind of like in a little bit, I can kind of understand.
Right.
I kind of looked at him more like Loki, the Norse god of chaos and tomfoolery. You know, chaos is not always a bad thing. It means change. So and nonconformity.
Yeah, and we've had people that have come to like, who've gone to seances, or maybe they're seance practitioners, you know, mediums, things like that. They do seances, spiritual work, etc. And they sometimes come to a voodoo ceremony and they're like, they're like, wow, that was like so intense, like, because our work is intense. So like, they're like, either sometimes they might run away because they're like frightened by the force behind it and the intensity of it. And then some of them are like, yeah, like, this is for me, this is where I belong.
So true. So, you know, one thing too, why don't you tell us about some of the classes? Are you offering like Zoom classes, or are you offering classes? You know, tell us about some of the classes you're offering.
Yeah, so I offer classes. It's very simple. Like, the first thing we do is you head over to the site, you know, hectorsalva.com. We book a session. We take in it what we during our consultation, we go deep in looking into you and into what you need and what you need class-wise, what you need to learn, get you that foundation and everything else that you need, and what's going on with you. And then from there, we proceed. Like, we basically say, you know, here's where we're gonna go, here's our plan of action, here's our classes, and here's what we're lining up. And basically, I have you to, we have classes over like phone. We have classes that are recorded, like this, like Zoom, or like audio calls. right? And yeah, that's how we do it. And as you progress, right, your life starts changing, right? When you're progressing, life changes, right? It's like you're about to make that move, right? Like you said, you're making a move. There's going to be so many changes, right? So you're progressing in a different way. You're making that move. So your life is going to be changing and gradually changing for the better and the better. And you know, we go class. There's a structure to it, right? So these things have been handed down for a long time. So they have a definite structure. And we go from, as you progress, we get you to the next class and kind of get you continuously progressing. We want to see you to go from leap to leap, jump to jump, progress to progress. You know, and sometimes progress is sitting still, though, darling. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, I've progressed so much. Like this, you know, this is good. I need a little bit of like, my rest is my progress, right? But that's how we work, and I work very much like with my people. So I'm very hands-on with people. When you take a class with me, not only are you going to learn a lot, but I'm going to give you homework. There are practices that I'm going to give you. These practices are part of what really starts to get your power developing and get, you know, your life changing, but also your spiritual power developing and your ability to get in contact with what's with you, right? Your spirits, and as well as whatever else we might be dealing with to get you there. And then, you know, we check in with each other on the homework. I don't just like, you know, throw you a class and leave you off to the winds and then say hope for the best. So no, we have a very definite way of, you know, that has successfully over and over and over. Really, basically, I'm going to tell you something. I've been doing this since 1989. Since 2000, I've been online. I've been taking students since 2004.
Okay.
Since 2004, I've been taking students and I've incorporated over time more and more online, right? And since 2004, I haven't lost any students. I haven't lost any of my apprentices.
Nice.
I haven't lost any of the people that are with me. We just keep building and growing. We're like, you know, roaches. We're everywhere. Okay. I have a handful of people in Australia. I just went to India and set up a temple there.
Wow.
I have a handful of people there in India that are there with that temple. I have people all over Europe, Russia, Japan, all over up and down the US, Canada, South America, the Caribbean islands. Pretty much, we are everywhere. And little by little, we will be everywhere, even more and more and more, because I've come here to this earth. I have a very clear purpose with myself. I've come here to basically free people.
Okay.
And free people from the robots and the enslavement and all.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Kind of like Terminator 2.
Terminator 2.
Yeah,
Well, you
know, breaker of chains.
Yes, that's awesome. I like that.
Believer in self.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, what do you really got? Everything else can get
Just yourself, yeah.
taken away from you. Everything.
Exactly.
Right? So, but if you have yourself, then everything else is possible. Everything else becomes possible and easy.
Right.
Yep.
I agree.
If you can dream it, you can at least attempt it.
Yeah.
You know, I will never get taller. It's just not going to happen.
Sorry.
But I can overcome. I can adapt and overcome.
Exactly. But well, we are at the 10-minute mark. So just wondering if you'd like to kind of, you know, tell people how they can get a hold of you, where to, I mean, we have a lot of in the chat room or the chat content, but you can just tell the people listening.
Mm-hmm. So first off, I want to give out my shout out to, as always, to Wiser. Thank you. Wiser Books has been so helpful and has helped me tons doing this thing. I believe, they help set us up and
Yes,
everything.
they did.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
everybody over there. They've, helped me throughout this process. And this is the 21 Divisions, Mysteries and Magic of Dominican Voodoo, available everywhere books are sold. Right?
Yes.
Commercial, right?
Right.
Available everywhere books are sold. But you can find me at hectorsalva.com. That's kind of like the central hub. Over the years, I'm a mystic, right? So I'm not a techie, right?
Okay. Mhm.
So over the many years, I've created like dozens of websites, right? But really, if you get to hectorsalva.com, you're kind of like at the hub that can take you to a lot of many different directions. I also have mysticalwork.com, as
Okay.
well as last 21 divisiones.com, sansereligion.com. But if you get to hectorsalva.com, there's lots of great information. Sign up for my newsletter. I do an Anchor podcast. I also do YouTube. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Hungan Hector, Houngan Hector. And basically, yeah, if you can't find me in this day and age, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't know where you're looking. Must just be looking under a rock. I'm all over the place, right?
Mhm.
So that's where we're at.
Have the 14-year-old nephew or whatever come over and tell you snottily how to do a Google search.
Yeah, exactly. Have them come on down.
Mm-hmm.
They're all willing to teach us something
Yep.
That's the truth.
real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Some things you really don't want to know about, but we still have a few more minutes. I was going to say, what made you want to write your 21 visions? Excuse me, there's a tickle in my throat.
So for many years, people have been begging me to write. And I was like, I'm really busy doing the work. That's what I actually
Right.
specialize in, is teaching people, healing people, doing the work. So many people wanted me to write for many years. And the spirits then were like, yeah, we go write. So I started writing. So when I wrote about half the book in about a week. And
Wow.
it just all coming through, right? And then about a week later, a fellow priest I know who also he did my forward. Yeah, that's what it's called. Forward, Hoodoo Saint Moise. He calls me up and he's like, "How about you want to write a book?" Well, when the mysteries say the mysteries work in mysterious ways, put it all together, right? I already had the book, so I was like, "Of course, I already have half a book written. Like, let's go." And so it just kind of like all came together from there, thanks to him and thanks to Wiser and Judica Alves, who's also a very well-known like spiritual author of magical witchcraft titles of all kinds, who was my editor, and just everyone at Wiser was great. They were really helpful. But that's how it kind of came about. The spirits were like, go write a book. We want you to write about us. We want to have something that people can refer back to, because we are an oral tradition, and so it's kind of easy for people to get taken advantage of if there's
Right.
nothing out there. It's kind of easy to not know anything, and then it's hard, right? We're underground. There's many people suffering and they need help, but they don't know where to get help, and they don't know that we can help them because they don't even know we exist.
Yeah, so
Right.
true.
Okay.
Mhm.
And America and the Western world, what they respect is the book, because they've been under religions of the book for always.
True.
That's so
Mhm.
true.
And they don't respect religion of oral because they've never had that. What they've had is religions of the book, so they respect book. So the spirit said, so give us a book. And so, here we are. As I say,
Mhm.
on with Injo. Here we are. We did what we had to do.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on our show tonight. And hopefully you've opened a lot of people's eyes out there and people who are curious and will then check your website out and check you out.
Mhm.
Everything. And
Awesome.
that's really great. I've really enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, it's
As
been a
did I.
great talk.
As did I. Thank you guys here at
Mhm.
Mystic Moon Cafe, Wendy and June for having me on, and Jake, I believe, right, who was able to make it here. Thank you guys all for all the work you did in putting this together for us. And it's been
Sure.
awesome connecting with you guys. Look
It
forward to
has.
continue in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just reach out or we'll reach out to you and get you back. Oops. Get you back on here.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm. Wonderful. All righty. Well, next week, I believe we've got Cornerstone Paranormal coming on.
Hmm.
And the week after, I'm not sure because I didn't hear back from one that I asked. So,
Nice.
um, oh, Hector, you've got a store, don't you? Or the site with the spell work and
Oh yeah.
mystical store.
Yeah,
Okay.
where I do spell work, all types of magical work. We
Hmm.
have it at greatestspells.com
Okay.
and mysticalwork.com, mysticalwork.com
Hmm.
is where I do a lot of my classes.
Okay.
So mysticalwork.com and greatestspells.com, they can they're linked into hectorsalva.com.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you can actually get to my classes via mysticalwork.com
Hmm.
and greatestspells.com. It's for more so my magical services.
Okay. All righty. Well, all right. I think with that we will maybe call it an evening if you guys don't have any more to share.
I think I'm done. Just
Okay.
everybody, please stay safe and just be smart. That's all. Just be
And
smart
respectful to the
and
people around you.
respectful, please.
Yeah.
Come on, people.
Yeah. Stay safe. All of
Hmm.
y'all, keep the faith. Wash your hands a lot. Use a
Please.
lot of lotion because they're gonna be dry. And
Hmm.
stay
Stay hydrated.
Yes.
hydrated
Mhm.
and like thank you to everyone who joined us. We loved
Yes.
all of y'all. And yeah, that's a wrap.
All righty. Okay,
And
then, everyone.
live, live, live.
Live, live, live. All right. And with that,